This is Zolor, Guildmaster of Pinnacle, recording our Baleroc instructional video for the Firelands fight specific to the Molten servers. Uh, this here is an image showing the room before the pull of the kill. We put some symbols down to make it easier for the tanks to maneuver, so it's always good to use raised symbols. I have a few of our leadership and organization members here to help narrate the fight. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself, Sokola?
Guys, this is Sukola. I'm pretty anxious to tell about this encounter because it's a pretty hard one despite all the little abilities Baleroc has.
So this fight is pretty easy. If you could look at the symbols that we have here, the way we had it set up, the tanks will go and pull the boss so that the boss is standing about on the star, and the tanks are going to be moving between the green symbol and the blue symbol. And the reason why we have it that way is because throughout the fight, the boss will spawn these crystals on the ground that Sokola there will explain in more detail. But you don't want the tanks to be standing next to the crystals because it causes them to take additional damage. So if the tanks are on the green symbol and the crystal spawns by the green symbol, then we have the tanks run over to the blue symbol. And the tanks are on the blue symbol and the symbol spawns by the blue symbol, then we have the tanks run over run over to the green symbol. So that way the boss can still stay in the same spot on the star, so that the DPS could DPS it more easily, in particular the melee DPS. But at the same time, the tanks can go ahead and move out the way. So basically the boss was just turning from left to right, and the tanks were still getting far enough away from the crystals to not get affected by that. As far as the abilities that the tanks have to watch out for, there's an ability called Blaze of Glory, and there's an ability called Decimation Blade. So the Blaze of Glory ability, it causes the tank to have 20% increased health each stack, but also take 20% increased damage. So you want both tanks to have some of that ability so they can withstand Baleroc's damage. But you want one tank to get about 4 stacks, and then the other tank to get all of the rest of the stacks. And the reason why is because the boss does an ability later called Decimation Blade that does a certain percentage of the tank's health, 90% of the tank's health, at least 250,000 damage. So you don't want the tank that has the majority of the Blaze of Glory, who has like a whole lot of health, to end up getting 90% of a million health. That'd be very hard for the healers to heal. So you want the tank with the lower health to get the Decimation Blade. So that's why you have one tank that gets 4 stacks of the Decimation Blade, so that he has over 250,000 health, because he'll get at least 250,000 damage, but it won't be 90% of a million or what have you. And then the other tank simply holds the boss for the majority of the fight, and will have a whole lot of the Blaze of Glories. The name of the other ability that he does is called Inferno Blade, which does a whole lot of fire damage. So that's why you want the tank that has the majority of the buffs to get that, so that he can withstand all of the fire damage, and it'd be easier for the tanks to heal for the healers to heal that because of the buff that comes from the crystals, which Sokola would explain. So again, you want to have 2 tanks. One tank pulls the boss first, gets 4 stacks of the Blaze debuff, and it may not actually be 4 stacks, just however many stacks it takes for that tank's health, the Decimation tank's health, to be a bit above 250k. After that tank has about 4 stacks of the Blaze debuff, the other tank pulls. It will tank the boss for the rest of the fight except during Decimation Blade. The first tank, as soon as Decimation Blade is cast, he pulls the boss off and holds it for the duration of the Decimation Blade. When the Decimation Blade runs out, the other tank pulls the boss back and holds it for the remainder until another Decimation Blade comes. So you have one tank that's a Decimation tank that holds it only for the Decimation Blade, and the other tank will hold it for the rest of the fights during the Inferno Blade. So that's pretty much the tank dynamics right there. Would you go ahead and take over, Soko, to explain the crystal abilities?
Yeah, guys, the crystal's ability is mainly the ability that Baleroc will wipe you if you're not careful enough with them. The thing is, on 10 man normal, this is on 10 man only. He spawns one crystals near the melee DPSs and tank. That's why we have some symbols there. The thing is, you need at least 2 melee DPSs to switch on the crystal because they apply a debuff called Torment. And it deals damage over seconds. And you want your melee DPS to switch on that damage because if one melee DPS takes all damage, it's gonna die eventually, and because the too many stacks. One other thing about the crystals, this melee DPS is called gets debuff called Torment, which reduces healing done by 70, healing done and taken by 75%. That's why it has a symbol there, as you can see, so the tanks don't get that symbol, and you have to pretty much switch the melee DPS about the crystals. That's all you need to know about the crystals. It sounds easy, but it's not. Basically, that's what's gonna wipe you on the rate if you're not careful enough, other than Decimation Blade. Another good tip about the tanks, to move the boss constantly away from the melee DPS when the crystal spawns. If you have deadly boss mode on, it should tell you when the crystals are spawning and dying. It's pretty neat to have that mode.
Now, one interesting thing about the crystals on 25 man is that 2 crystals spawn at a time.
Oh, 25 man, yeah. 25 men, 2 crystals, one in the mid and one in the range DPS. So on 25 men, each have your healers away from the range of DPSs because if they get debuff, they won't be able to heal. And what is the rate if your healers can't heal? You're basically gonna wipe again. So on 25 men, you need to split your healer, range DPS, and melee DPS in 3 different groups. 2 groups for the sharks and healers away, so they can still heal and pull you away from the boss fight, pull you through the boss fight.
And the thing that happens with the healing is whenever somebody gets the debuff from the crystal, when the healers heal that person, they get a buff that increases their heals. So basically, you want to rotate DPS that takes the crystal, and then rotate healers that heal the person with that debuff, so all the healers can get increased healing ability. And then when the tanks take a lot of damage with the increased health pool because of the buffs they're getting, the healers will have the heal capacity to heal them. So just remember, on 10 man, you can just have just the melee rotate between each other, so that one has a debuff for so many stacks, and then the other one, then another one. Just pick in order for them to rotate around each other, and let's say how many stacks should they each get, Soko?
They need to get 1 stack only, but need to kill a target that has at least 3 stacks of torment, so they can get the buff Vital Flame. Vital Flame is the buff that, as all said, increases the healing done by you, but only to targets that have the buff Blaze of Glory by 5% for each stack you have. So that's another good ability to watch out. Healers, watch out for that. You have to heal tormented DPSers, so you get the Vital Flame buff, and that will help you heal the main tanks through the Decimation Blade.
So let's say you have 3 melee on 10 man, or one can go ahead and stand right by the crystal, get 4 stacks of the debuff. Once you get 4 stacks, the next person that you call in the order runs in and gets 4 stacks of the debuff. After he gets 4 stacks, he runs out, and the next person runs in and gets 4 stacks until the crystal dies. Then when the crystal dies, another one will spawn eventually, and you just keep going in and getting the stacks of the debuff. And the same thing, each time a person starts getting stacks of the debuff, the healers heal that person up, and make sure all the healers have some of the buffs from the Vital Flame buffs and from healing them. So
Healers, don't worry, it's not crucial if you don't get the Vital Flame debuff, but it's gonna be much easier and smoother if you have a debuff and all your healers have a debuff. It's not 100% sure that you're gonna wipe if you don't have the debuff. You can do the boss if you don't have the debuff, but it's gonna be much harder. So don't worry if you don't get the Vital Flame debuff.
So all you have to do is rinse and repeat that. Rinse and repeat the tank swapping off with the Decimation Blade tank getting the 4 stacks, and then letting the Blaze tank hold the boss. Whenever Decimation Blade comes, the Blaze tank with the 4 stacks of the debuff pulls and holds the boss. When the Decimation Blade ends, the Blaze tank pulls the boss back. People are constantly swapping out for the crystals, and the healers are healing the people with the debuff on the crystals. And just remember, if a crystal spawns close to a tank, they need to move to the other symbol, and vice versa. And but the boss should still be in a position to where everybody can melee the boss, whichever position the tanks are facing in, because the boss should just be moving, turning around back and forth in the same spot. And long as and just remember on the 25 man, there will be a crystal for the melee close to the boss, and as well as a crystal for the range far away from the boss. So the people that are close to the boss, which would be the melee, make a rotation priority for them, so that you know, okay, these 3 or 4 people are going to rotate on the crystal close to the boss, and in order, each time one runs in, the next person runs in. The next person runs in, is keep that set order of rotation. And the same thing for the range DPS. You could just assign 4 or 5 people to rotate in to stand next to the crystal and get the debuff. When the first person runs in and gets their full stacks, they run out. The next person runs in, and so on and so forth in that order. And you shouldn't have any problems on the boss fight. And usually we pop heroism close to the end. So when the boss is getting down to about 20-30% health, you can go ahead and pop heroism and finish them off. It doesn't really matter where you pop heroism at, because the fight is the same way throughout. Towards the end of the fight, the tanks will have one tank will have more. At least both tanks will have more stacks, because as the tanks that has the decimation blade, he'll still get a stack or 2. And the other tank, of course, will be steadily getting stacks of the blades. So, it might be best to catch heroism later in the fight, so that everybody can be more prepared with the greater stacks on the tanks. But other than that, everything should be pretty much rinse and repeat until the boss is dead. So those are the tactics, and you'll be able to see us in a moment implementing that in one of our boss fights, and we'll sort of commentate as we kill the boss. So keep on watching. Here we go. And you can see the tanks pulling the boss up to the star symbol, and they're going to turn him around.
You're gonna see
There he
the
is.
first crystal point soon, guys.
And there's one of the
This is
crystals
what-
right there to the left.
This is 25 man, guys. As you can see on the left, on the red frames, you're gonna see the little purple debuffs. That's the torment, the melee DPS are rotating, and the rangers also. There is the purple hook on the crystals, are the crystals. As you can see, the moment they are healed, the torment is gone and they don't suffer damage. Our healers get vital spark buff. We still haven't got a decimation blade. Hope we don't. One other thing about the fight, there's a chance that you don't encounter decimation blade. Here are the 2 crystals, one in the rangers and one in the melee DPSs. About the heroism, it's a good idea to pop it after 40%, because it downs faster. As all said, it's not essential when you pop heroism. You can pop it start, mid, or final. There was decimation blade. And you can see the skull on the crystal. It's taking a debuff, and you see how it's moving away. That's how they are switching to one guy getting the debuff and the other. Boss is already down 50% with no heroism and stuff.
So it's some awesome DPS. You
Yeah,
can see
of
again the
course.
crystal behind the boss, and you can see the tanks have the boss facing towards a blue symbol, so they can stay away from the crystal closer to the green symbol.
So they don't get debuff. And remember, guys, if tank gets debuff, 75% healing reduced, and taken, you're gonna wipe 100% sure. It's already been 3 minutes, the boss is down 40%. See how he runs and repeat, getting the attacks and the torments, and the tanks switching off. There was a decimation blade right now. You see as the paladin tank health drops pretty fast and with pretty big amount.
And you may need to call out for the tanks to make sure they avoid the symbols. I suppose sometimes they might be looking for the debuff and might miss it. So once in a while, as you can see right there, the tanks were both standing by a crystal there, so we have to call out, the crystal by the blue symbol move to the green symbol. So someone might need to help the tanks out while they're focusing on the debuffs to make sure that they move away from the symbol that has the crystal by it.
Yeah, and as you can see, we popped heroism at 35-40% somewhere. Another good thing is you have at least 3 battle races because everything can go on, everything can happen. If you do everything right, as you can see, it's just a 5-minute fight with just 2 simple attacks. Watch out for the crystals and blades of the Baleroc. Again, this is a 25-man normal. That's why we have 2 crystals. See, one at Rangers and one at Melee. One at Rangers is at the back of the stream. Zoe turns his camera to show. You see, if he turns his camera, you can see the crystals, one at Melee and one at Rage.
And the 10-man of tactic is the same. It's just there's only one crystal for the melee. So
Yeah, as you can see, the boss is down, and we're gonna get our loot.
and that's it, guys. So pretty simple fight as long as you have the rotation down and as long as the tank swap off properly. You know, it's really a raid wiper if the wrong tank has a decimation blade, and just make sure that the healers get the debuff from healing the people with the debuff from the torment, and everything should work out fine. So, you have anything else you want to add, Cecil?
No, that's basically it. Nothing to add. It's a simple fight with just 2-3 mechanics, but it's not that simple as it is, as you can see.
So
It's
thanks for
pretty easy to wipe. Yeah, it's pretty easy to wipe on this board, guys. Don't be fooled by only the 2 mechanics. I don't recommend to start violence with this boss. I recommend to kill Baleroc, Shanax first, then try to go at Baleroc.
So I guess the next video we'll make will have to be Shanax. I haven't gotten a good recording of it yet. But look forward to some more videos. We'll make videos of every boss in Firelands, and so just look forward to our YouTube channel, as well as we post them on the Molten forums, as well as is linked on our website via the YouTube channel. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.